This is a Sumo robot. It fits in my back pocket and it actually flies. It's also the most over-engineered thing I've ever built. A custom 4-layer PCB, a CNC machine steel base, and a 5-stage gearbox, squeezed like it's not even there. Every single part designed from scratch. This is the story of Lil Szymi. Yeah, it fits in my back pocket, but that's not even the impressive part. Specifically, it's in the mini Sumo category, and this is one of the most constrained categories robotics has to offer. The whole robot has to fit in a 10 by 10 centimeter box. Height is unlimited. However, the shorter you go, the harder you fall on every part of the design. And honestly, most championship mini Sumos look horrible. Wires sticking out everywhere like spaghetti. Ugly, green, store-bought PCBs slapped together. No passion or any thought process visible. Just a box filled with electronics with hopes of getting lucky and winning at least one fight. And that's just not how I do it. I went for 2 motors driving 4 wheels. I built the whole thing shorter than 26 millimeters, which was the shortest mini Sumo I've ever seen. And I made it actually look beautiful. Sleek angled front, minimal exposed cables, a custom 4-layer PCB on top, running a functional OLED interface. The whole thing engineered like an expensive product, not a science fair project. Every Sumo robot starts with the motors, because they're heavy. They sit at the center of mass and then decide how the rest of the robot is built around them. I bought motors that already came with their own gearboxes. I then removed the gearboxes entirely, kept the motors, kept the gears, and I designed my own gearbox from scratch. 5 gears in series. The first gear sits on the motor shaft. The last one sits on the wheel shaft. And there are 3 double spur gears connecting them, achieving a final gear ratio of 800 to 33, which is around 24:1. That's almost no top speed, but a crazy amount of torque. The original gearboxes that the motors came with were 19 millimeters wide, and that's just too much. I managed to get mine down to 10 millimeters wide, and that really matters. It allows me to make the wheels way wider, allowing for more grip and more traction, which is very necessary when fighting. This creation is a complete nightmare to physically assemble. Each gear sits on a steel shaft just 1.5 millimeters in diameter. I bought those shafts 100 millimeters long and cut them all down to size for the gearboxes. Glued them in place and hoped they would hold. There was no margin for error, but once it was together, it worked excellent. Now, the problem with 2 motors and 4 wheels is connecting them. Each motor only drives 1 wheel, so on each side, I added a second, smaller gearbox. Just 3 gears. 1 on the front wheel, 1 on the back wheel, and 1 in the middle, linking them. Same torque on both wheels. No belt, no chain, just 3 meshed gears. So essentially, we got 4 gearboxes in total on this robot. The wheels on this thing are 25 millimeters in diameter, and that essentially sets the height of the whole build, because there really is no point in going lower than the wheels. The rims are 3D printed out of PLA, as well as the hubs and essentially the whole outer gearbox. The tires are made of silicone, but I obviously didn't buy them because there are no to buy. I made them. I designed and 3D printed silicone molds. I cast these tires myself. I added grooves into the rim model so that the silicone has something to bite into and lock on. About 4 millimeters of the tire all around the wheel. The thicker the silicone, the more surface area touches the ring, which gives you more grip. Now moving on to the chassis. The metal base is probably the most important part of the whole robot. It holds together practically everything. The line sensors, the Luna sensors, the metal plow, the side panels, the gearboxes, the wheels, and the motors, practically everything. And essentially, I had 2 reasons to make it out of CNC machine steel. Well, first of all, because it connects practically everything in this robot, steel is a material I can trust. Because plastic, it can deform, the printers are imperfect, and you might have some slight misalignment. And the second, more important reason is that it essentially occupies the whole lower surface area of the robot. Making it out of steel moves the center of mass way to the bottom. It gives you more grip and much better stability. At the front, we have the metal plow. and I also decided to go for CNC machine steel for this one. The plow is the 5th point of contact with the ring, 4 wheels plus this. The whole robot is balanced to push down on the plow so it can slide under the opponent and lift them off, making it much easier to actually push them off the ring. The chassis is pretty much shaped like the letter T, with the whole drivetrain taking up pretty much 60% of the whole robot. The front is mainly the LiPo battery, the 2 LIDAR sensors, and line sensors on the sides. The side panels and the front face are 3D printed in PLA. Both side panels are angled to give the robot a sleek profile, and they have some decorative fins on them, which serve no function at all, but they just look cool. Now, to make the whole robot so short, I actually had to make cutouts for the LiDAR sensors as well as the battery, which is kind of crazy, but it's really the best way to deal with it. And one very important but subtle detail about this robot is that every single part, including the quite complicated side panels, the roof, the front panel, and especially the gearboxes, are all easily 3D printable without any supports at all. And I was able to achieve this because I designed the whole thing from scratch, and I knew what will be 3D printed and what will be, let's say, CNC machined. And it sounds like a small thing, but it really isn't. When you're designing things, especially parts as small as these, it is really important that while actually designing it, you keep in mind how will you manufacture it. With FDM, you might just have to add a couple supports. But if you're planning to CNC machine something, it might turn out that it's not even possible to make it. All of the electronics live on a single custom 4-layer PCB sitting right above the motors. The very tightly constrained size and space really left no other option but to go for at least 4 layers. The component density is quite high, and I wanted the layout to look intentional, not just routed for whatever is convenient. The top of the board is entirely dedicated to interface. You've got buttons, switches, the OLED, the start module, pretty much everything you need to actually operate the robot. At the top edge, we've got my Instagram logo, because why not? 3 blue LEDs that the firmware drives for status output, the IR receiver to start the robot remotely. We've got a reset button and 2 spare buttons just to operate the interface, as well as a 4-position dip switch. This one actually turns on the robot and off, obviously. Got the programmer to actually connect with the robot and program it. And very importantly, we've got the OLED right here. And that's about it. Now, the bottom of the board is the power and motor side. 2 motor drivers, the main MOSFET that gates DC input from the battery, 2 linear regulators, stepping battery voltage down to 5 volts, and then 3.3 volts. The 4-pin sensor connectors all sit along the front edge of the board. And on the bottom, you'll find a small Porsche 911 GT3 RS, because at the time of designing this board, that was my dream car. But there is one more detail on this board that I'm particularly proud of, and it is the motor connectors. Most PCBs usually connect them using a 2-pin power or an XT30. That's just a classic. However, there really is no place for an XT30 right there, like not even for the power supply. So I had to use a different, way smarter approach. The motors sit right beneath the PCB. So what I did is I put pads right above the motors, so I just run the cables from top to the bottom. That's a perfect connection, using absolutely no space. This, coupled with the squeezed gearboxes, allows this robot to have some fat ass wheels. And this is what actually makes it impressive, and I like it. Now, firmware is only a part of this whole robot. The other part is the firmware, running on an STM32F411. A Sumo robot essentially has to do 3 things: find the opponent, fight the opponent, and not fall off the ring. And all of them simultaneously. When it comes to finding the opponent, the simplest way I can put it is, if the left sensor sees, you go left. If the right sensor sees, you go right. And you do that until both see, and in that case, you just go straight through. Now, to make it clear, the firmware running on this guy and hopefully other competition robots is slightly more complicated, but don't worry about it. And you can actually see the tracking happen in real time on the LEDs I implemented on top of the board. As you may or may not know, on most championships, the ring is black and has a white outline. If you want to win, you cannot drive off of the ring, right? You have to push off the enemy. And the white line is actually crucial information for your robot because it marks the border. You should probably implement some infrared sensors that can tell between black and white to actually tell the robot when it's going out of bounds and just back off. My OLED on top has 3 modes: home, sensors, and accelerometer. And 1 button cycles between them. And all of that runs in parallel on a single STM32 MCU. 5 timer interrupts, each handler doing its job at exactly the right frequency. Lil Szymi last year competed at the RoboRave World Championship in China, and I managed to record 6 fights. I have captured his 2 wins and 3 losses. This one was the worst one. I was actually winning most of it. The robot was pushing well, the LIDAR tracking was working, and then I just drove off the ring. No contact, just bad luck. You know, it happens. I also had another loss where the robot just refused to start. Quite unlucky, but you know, it happens.
Okay. Oh.
Okay. As you may have figured, Lil Szymi did not win the championship. However, it was never built to win on power. It was built to be the smallest, the most beautifully engineered mini sumo robot I could possibly make. And that part, it absolutely is. And one last thing, if you'd actually want to learn how to build something like this from scratch, every step from CAD to PCBs to firmware, let me know in the comments. I want to know what specifically you want me to teach you, whether it be PCBs, the drivetrain, or the firmware. Maybe even the opponent tracking. Whatever it is, drop it down below. Peace.